Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Friday, September 11th, and as a salute to September 11, and I remembered very well all our brave military and everybody that serves our country. Just a hat off to all of the men and women out there. We appreciate you and thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
So, yes. I am Joe Sarvati, by the way, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined here with my partner in crime, Mr. Andrew Hansen. How are you on this memorable September 11th, Andrew?
Well, I'm doing well. Hoping for a peaceful September 11th this time around, and hopefully we can focus on sports and the exciting things and get some entertainment tonight. We're going to have a Game 7 in the NBA, so I'm fired up about that after another great night for us at DFS Coach Talk last night in basketball and football.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Great job. For the listeners that are NFL folks, Andrew and Shane, excuse me, are NFL pros, and they just did a fantastic job. If you haven't had a chance to catch the podcast, it incorporates all the games, so I would really highly recommend you taking a listen. It is on our YouTube site. So if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, right now, mash the heck out of that like button, get the thumbs up, subscribe. We've hit one of our goals yesterday on YouTube subscribers, so we need you to dive in there, and then hit that little alarm button that will give you an alert when one of our podcasts posts, because sometimes they're a little bit different, so you don't have to keep checking. It'll just give you an alert. So we really do appreciate that. But yeah, it was a fantastic night in basketball. I'm not a big fan of the showdown slates, but we did well with them, so it worked. Our game scripts and stuff, a lot of them came into play. Certainly never saw Horton Tucker getting time though.
Right.
How weird was that?
Strange.
Yeah, that was bizarre. If you rostered him, man, you got some inside skinny, because I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Right.
Yeah, but and then on football, I know you guys both crushed it. So yeah, it was a great day. We're excited now because the three main sports, and actually all four sports, are going. I was just mentioning to Andrew, my PGA lineup that I gave out is kicking butt so far in the Safeway Open. And then we've got MLB that we've still been red hot. We had some big takedowns there. We'll be posting lineups for that tonight. And then obviously football this weekend, and our number one sport, NBA, which we do the 7-day-a-week podcast. So love to have you to join us for all of this every day. We really break it down, game script, and try to give you the very best information to help you build your lineups on DraftKings or FanDuel. We even had one of our members take something down on Super Draft yesterday with our build. So, we love it. We want to keep giving winners.
Yeah, one more thing on that, Coach. On the football side, if folks are new to the program and don't know exactly how we do things, we give out a lineup on FanDuel. It's usually a cash lineup and then a GPP lineup that you can just plug and play. And so last night in the NFL, we gave out 2 lineups on FanDuel, and they both cashed. So terrific start to the season, and that's what you get in every sport. So if you pick up one of our memberships, you get the football lineups and the basketball lineups and baseball and golf, all for the same price. So we'd love to have you.
Love to have you. And, on DraftKings, we put up a really unique coach's clipboard with the highlighted players and a little asterisk next to those for GPP. So I think we fine-tuned it to the point where, it's giving our members the very best chance to win. And there's a lot of news that comes out. I mean, last night in baseball was nuts. We were all, we had a lineup in there all set to go. And then the Yankees game, even though it didn't rain there for like an hour, it rained out. So we had it in Discord. We're in there. Everybody made the changes. Then, and that's why I say to all of our members, stay in there in case we have to alert, because then the Cubs game became a rain issue, and we were able to divert to some later guys on the slate, and it all worked out. But you can't miss any of that stuff If you're really going to play and you want to win at this every day, whether it's on your phone, I mean, you don't have to stop the rest of your life, but whether it's on your phone or whatever, you have to keep an eye because we're on it. We're going to let you know every cancellation, every piece of player news, and, we're going to give you the best opportunity to win on every slate, whether it's cash or GPP. So, all right, man, we got to dive into this. I know everybody tuned in for this breakdown of the two games. Super excited too. I'm going right now to BetUS, their updated odds. We just announced a partnership yesterday with BetUS. Couldn't be more excited. We're going to have some unique offers from BetUS that are going to drop today. We're going to have everywhere on social media. But you want to go to betus.com.pa. And you're going to get, they're the largest, they have more members for BetUS than any other sports book in the United States. They've been around 17 years, and I have been with BetUS 13 years. I don't know where the time goes, but I have been. So they are very reputable. You'll love them. So we're really excited for that partnership. Okay, the first game, Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors, Game 7. All the drama, everything you could ever ask for. Right now, the Celtics are -3. They're -145 on the money line. And the over-under, you're not going to believe this one. You know how we said it's shrunk?
Yeah.
It was 216, then 212, and then 210, and then it's 204.5.
Wow.
That
Getting
is
ready
down
for
there.
a grinded out Game 7. And Coach, by the way, the NBA did us a favor tonight. They switched the games. That's going to be the nightcap. That's
Oh my God, they did
It's going to
flip
be
it.
9 Eastern. And so we get to really build up slowly towards the Game
Wow.
7 drama. We get to start with Denver and the Clippers. It's like a whole new slate with these games flipped.
Yeah, they didn't switch it on in the order, but I see the times have switched. That's really amazing. So so we're not going to talk about that game first, but it's a good lead in because I was going to read the over under in this second game because I know we've been killing it by stacking Boston Toronto games
Yep.
when other people have been going Nuggets Clippers, but now I'm a little worried because let's look at this other game. If the Clippers blow them out again, that messes everything up, and it definitely hurts DFS. And I think that's been part of what's helped us. Double overtime doesn't hurt either, or whatever we played. But right now, the Clippers are 8.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 216. So 11.5 points higher than the other game, and 8.5 is not a bad spread. So that's the $1,000,000 question before we even talk about players is, are you going to have an even build between the two games? Are you going to continue to favor the Boston-Toronto game, or does this over-under affect your thinking?
Right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards an even build. As you know, I play multiple lineups, so I'll make one lineup that's a Toronto-Boston stack in case we get something similar here and in case it is a blowout in the first game with the Clippers. But, it is Game 7 for Toronto and Boston. Guys could get a little bit tighter, maybe not shoot quite as well. We'll get into that more when we talk about Game 2. But both teams shot over 40% from three-point land in Game 6. So if they're not quite as effective there because of the pressure of Game 7, then that lends itself more towards a balanced build, especially if it doesn't go to double overtime, like you mentioned. So, that's my initial thought is more of a balanced build. But it's, still a challenge looking here at this first game in terms of, do you go with Jokic? Do you go with Murray? Do you pair that up, that big combo, and hope that they have one last hurrah here? I mean, I'd like to think that Denver is going to give a better effort here and put up a good fight. What do you think?
Well, Leighton Wilson is calling me. I see him on my phone. So, hey, Leighton, how you doing, man? Sorry, I can't answer. You listen to the podcast, when we were recording. I like the Boston-Toronto guys, more as far as DFS production.
Yep.
But I do think that the necessity to spread this a little bit cleaner as far as the split. I think you need exposure here. 5-4 kind of exposure maybe for Boston, Toronto, but This last time I ran 7-2 and I was able to survive, but it does get a little dicey. And so, I see a little bit better break. We've got to see, again, the game script. If I was predicting a complete blowout in the game script for Clippers Denver, then I may still stay Boston Toronto because I do think that stays close throughout. But I just think that Denver hangs. It's an elimination game. They're gonna let it all out there. By the way, did you hear I have to bring this up because I think it goes a long ways to proving me right in this. Did you see what Porter said after the game?
I sure did.
Did I tell you? That's now you got a guy.
I agreed with you on that. Don't forget.
You got a guy down 3-1. Your team's reeling. You got to try to come together. And that dimwit comes out in the press and says, no, he goes, I need more touches. I need more touches. You're a rookie, you dumbass. So there you go. Anyway, it goes to show I like Porter's play, but I don't see him being a superstar in this league just because of his attitude, and I'm sure his teammates didn't approve that. Really appreciate it,
right?
Because the veterans should be the ones speaking up, not him. Well, and certainly not to get more touches. If anybody needs to figure out how to get somebody the ball and more touches, they need to do that with Murray. And they've been shutting Murray down compared to what he was doing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's start there on the Denver side then, because I do think it's very important. And if you're watching the end of the last game, Porter was just standing in the corner, just loafing around, moping. I mean, it was back to that bad body language that we've noticed many times, and the reasons that we would hesitate to really endorse him as a star, like you say, moving forward. I mean, he's got a lot of maturing to do, but the talent is still there. And he has been productive the last couple games. Didn't get up as many shots in this last game. That's probably what he was complaining about. Jokic and Murray dominated the shot attempts once again. But, as immature as it was, perhaps it will light a fire under his teammates and under himself. The spotlight's going to be on him once again. And perhaps they'll all use that to their benefit. And step it up here and make this a game. That's what I'm going to game script it as. That Denver plays better, they play hard, and it's just going to be a real tough decision about, again, Murray and or Jokic, because you get those guys in there, then all of a sudden you can't get as many of the stars from Toronto and Boston. It's much harder to pay for Kawhi and even Paul George. So I'm going to build lineups both ways. Jokic certainly more reliable, and so if I had to go between the two, I'll probably go Jokic. And that's really the monster decision on FanDuel is Jokic or not, because the center position is just, it's empty. It's Jokic, and then you go down to Zubats or Harrell. Yeah, that's really the decision, and it changes your build. So basically, you've got two different builds where you can pay up across the board if you fade Jokic, but if you go with him, then you got to find some value elsewhere. So that's the big decision on FanDuel. In terms of the rest of Denver, I am going to have a lot of Porter. And then Gary Harris, another solid game last time out. He's one of those tweeners because now his price has gone back up. So it's a little bit harder to get him in there. Tory Craig is back in the mix for me. I did not play him last time out, but he did get 24 minutes. Yeah. And at 3.4 on DraftKings, if you need one value guy, he's one of the candidates for me. On the Clippers side, big news last game was that Reggie Jackson was out of the rotation. So now all of a sudden we get split time between Pat Beverly and Landry Shamet. So Beverly's more attractive to me. He got 22 minutes and 46 seconds last game. So the old minutes restriction where he was building up 15, 18, that's all gone. Now he's getting almost half the game. He's only 3.8 on DraftKings.
I know.
And 4.8 on FanDuel, a little more than I'd like to spend, but he's still in play for me. And as I mentioned, Zubats is in play. Another, change there last game. He got 30 minutes. Montrezl Harrell only got 18. So, he's stepping up. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he's in play for me. And then, of course, Paul George and Kawhi certainly in play as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting game. I agree. I mean, you're going to have to take a stand one way or the other. Uh, it seems to me, I've seen some progress in Zubac's game. I thought he's had a good series against the Mavericks. I think he's playing solid against the Nuggets. And, his big, wide body, they need him in there, against Jokic. It's just a good matchup for him. I like his price. I think he, to me, is the obvious pay down if you're not going to go with the Joker. So I'm looking there because I do want some of the studs from the second game. And, my bigger question is Murray. I've continued to roster him, but they're throwing so many tough defenders at him. I mean, how are you supposed to roster Murray when he gets fresh? And I mentioned this on the last show, and I still rostered him. But he gets a fresh Beverly, a fresh Kawhi, a fresh George. I mean, if those three guys are going to guard you in segments, good luck, man. Nobody's going to score. So, I'm looking at making this game somewhat of a value game for me. I agree that there's some good plays that you can get at a price. I'm still liking Jeremy Grant's price. I think he still gets a good run. I think Zubac gets a really good run. And for the very first time since the bubble started, I actually think Pat Beverly is a decent play because his price. And if you put those guys in, now you can really start talking about some big dogs. You could even actually roster a Kawhi in that scenario, because if it does stay closer or at least within reason and they try to close him out, Kawhi, I mean, he's the best player on the floor in that series, period.
Yep.
So I think that's sort of how I see that playing out for me, sort of a value and a possible Kawhi buy up. But I don't believe, it's hard to play Kawhi and not play either Murray or Jokic, but I'd rather go with a couple of cheaper guys in this game and hope, it just ride that close to not blowing out kind of scenario.
Yeah, as much as we talk about wanting it to be more balanced because of the higher total, I've got two builds up here where the Boston-Toronto game on DraftKings, I've got 6 of the 8 guys. And on FanDuel, I've got 6 of the 9 from the Boston-Toronto game. Even though I have a mentality of, I'd like to get a little bit more balanced build.
I mean, that's been our trend, but it's worked. It really has. So, I know. I'm with you, man. I am absolutely with you. Anything else on that game?
Final point on Zubac is, you mentioned how you like the way he's been looking. And talk about body language. I really liked his body language 2 games ago when he got in foul trouble and then he fouled out. I mean, he was pissed on the bench. He wanted to be out there down the stretch. And so that's the kind of attitude you want. A guy who wants that challenge. He wants to be out there against Jokic. So, hopefully he'll step up for us tonight.
Yeah, and I don't think Harrell's been great all year. I played him a lot, but he hasn't been the exact a spark plug like he used to be to the same extent, because they're getting a higher level performance from Zubac. You're not having that full feeling. And, I just think that, that may be the strongest play, is to just go Zubac and hope he gets that same kind of run that he did this last game.
Yep.
All right. Before we go to the second game, just real quickly, again, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, and that's BetUS. They are tremendous, betus.com.pa, and we will be tweeting out and putting it in Discord our special offer through them, which is exclusive to DFS Coach Talk. So we're really excited about building that relationship. Also, this is going to be posting early afternoon, day of. A lot of times we'll do it the night before. Today we wanted to wait, get some news, get a little more preparation in. So make sure throughout the afternoon that you stay plugged in to us on Twitter. We're at DFS Coach Talk. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and Shane is at DET Sports Shane. So stay connected with us there. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please smash that like button, thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the little alarm button. We really appreciate that. And if you're listening to us audio-wise, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, we're everywhere podcasts can be found. We do have a monthly contest. We would love if you would take a second either on Spotify or iTunes to give us a 5-star and a good review. What we do is we aggregate all of those at the end of the month, and we choose, we put them in a randomizer to choose a 1-month free membership. So please take a minute to do that if you are one of our Spotify, iTunes users. All right, we're diving into game 2, which the flip scenario that makes it really weird. It is Boston and Toronto. I may have already mentioned this. It's Boston -3, 204.5, and that's fresh off of the BetUS site. So, all right, here we go. So the question is, I'll frame it for you to begin the breakout here. I look at this last game, and everybody wants to always say, okay, Toronto played their guys 52 minutes, this, that, and the other thing. Well, guess what? So did Boston.
Yep.
If you look at the minutes on both teams, they were excessive. So my question to you, which team can bounce back better? And will that aspect of maybe a little bit of tired legs have an effect on one of these teams more than the other?
Yeah, it could. It's a good question. I lean towards Boston here, and Vegas,
of course you would,
seems to agree.
Yeah.
You know, I find it hard to believe that they're going to let Toronto win 3 straight on them. So I think they'll bounce back, and you know it does.
Did you see what I posted in Discord when that game was ending?
What?
I pulled the old Rudy Tomjanovich Houston Rockets. Never question the heart of a champion.
Right. I don't question Toronto's heart. I don't. I think they'll come ready to go again. I think it'll be a great battle. But as I mentioned, you know, both teams shot over 40%, so I think we'll see a little bit of regression, not quite as much fantasy production per minute. And if we're in the 48-minute range, it's going to be a little bit tighter. We've also got the pressure of Game 7. You know, so starting with the Celtics, the way that Toronto's defending Kemba with the occasional box and one, you know, they're really limiting his opportunities, just not getting up as many shots. So he's not in play for me. I'm going to look again at Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. That was the core combo for us last time around, and they both smashed it. Smart with the triple-double, Jaylen Brown, big numbers. You know, he shot it 30 times last game.
You know, I saw a small shift of this was 100% Jason Tatum's team, period. Yep. You know what I saw the last few games? And it progressed, maybe like 3 games. It's progressed more and more and more. It's a split team now. It's a Tatum and Brown team. Those two take all the big shots.
Yep. Yeah, for better or worse, because if I could pick, I'd rather have Tatum take the big shot. But, you know, they do need that second alpha guy, and Jaylen Brown is right there.
Yep.
Obviously willing to accept that challenge. You know, he's
not shy.
He's not shy. He's not shy. His price has gone up, so he's a lot closer to Tatum now. Only $1,500 apart on DraftKings,
right?
And $1,800 on FanDuel. So
still a lot, though. It
is still a lot, and it's enough for me to prefer Jaylen Brown, just in a fantasy sense, not in a basketball sense.
Right, I agree.
Tice, very much in play for me. You know, probably the vast majority of my lineups, he'll be in there. Looking for a value play on Boston, Brad Wanamaker really is the only guard off the bench. He's getting decent minutes for a guy that's priced at $3,300 on DraftKings. So, you know, if he fits in there, you could play him.
Don't do it. Brad's going to want to make my lineup, but he's not going to.
Maybe he should. You know, his price on FanDuel also is just enough where it can make some other things work. So for a GPP, he's in consideration for me.
I agree
Yep.
with you there. My cash side.
Right, absolutely. Toronto, Lowry shot 6 for 10 on threes. He has been tremendous.
Amazing.
You got to figure he won't shoot quite as well and hit quite as many fallaways, under pressure, right? I mean, he's getting more and
that
more
one
expensive.
shot he hit, I swear to God, he never saw the basket. He just
it
turned.
might be.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah. So that'll be fun to watch, is how he performs. Siakam, 5 of 19 shooting last game.
Did you notice my
threes.
softness? Did you notice some of that softness? I'm telling you, the dude is soft.
Yeah. Will he step up in Game 7, though? I think he's worth a look. I don't think he's going to shoot that poorly. That's probably going to be the turning point. Because if he plays well, he's not going to be as highly owned as these other guys in the same price range. So we'll have to keep debating that throughout the afternoon.
It's going to be super interesting.
Well, and Powell, your boy Powell, he stepped up. He played great. He's certainly in play.
That three he hit in the corner was absolutely cold-blooded.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big question is this. For Nurse, he coaches his butt off. But for the first time, I completely disagree with his strategy that in the fourth quarter and both overtimes. I've been talking all that noise for 3 games now. Toronto's going to play small. They're going to play small. Gasol and Ibaka will take a little bit of a back seat. Boucher and those guys aren't even going to see the floor. They're going to use, Siakam at center and et cetera. And so I expected that, but not for all of the closeout time when Daniel Tice, it was like he was playing with JV players. I mean, they had nobody to at the rim for him at all. So I can understand maybe if he felt Gasol wasn't athletic enough or maybe clogged things up offensively, but Ibaka is one of the most athletic big guys in the league.
Right. And
he's a shot blocker, rebounder. I mean, Tice gets none of those baskets if Ibaka's in there, literally. So I was stunned by that. I don't believe that he'll go with that small lineup as much. I think he gets Ibaka back in the game. The only thing I can think of, we don't know this for a fact, but going into that game, last game, Ibaka had a sore ankle. He was questionable and then ruled in. So maybe he didn't feel 100%. He could have said to the coach, it's a little sore, blah, blah, blah. So he didn't use him down the stretch. I'm just guessing because it made no sense there in that stretch where Tice had 8 straight points because they had nobody in the paint. So I'm putting Ibaka back into my mix. I think he gets a bunch of that run. And I'm not going to use Powell because I think Powell will get run and he'll close some game. But I do think some of that shifts back to Ibaka being on that front line. So that's my first thought. My lineup is going to begin and end with Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. I've ridden them this far, and they have been phenomenal. And they're going to play all the minutes. And I think it's just a great way to start it because Boston doesn't have an answer for it. And they're going to get their shots up. So I'm very, very comfortable spending up and just getting my roster started. As I just said earlier, I'm a little sour on Siakam because I just see little signs of softness where I don't think he's going to take the big shot and make it or really want it. So I'm not going to go there. And then on the Boston side, I mean, I don't think hardly anybody's going to roster Kemba today just after that terrible showing, and then Boston's switching from a box and one to a zone to man to
Toronto,
2-3. Toronto, I'm sorry. Yeah. And Nurse, he coaches like he's coaching a Division II college team trying to beat a Division I team or something. But the funniest play I've seen this year though is Nurse standing in the corner and Tatum tried to pass.
That was ridiculous.
What the heck? That was hilarious, man. But anyway, talk about a 6 man as a coach, that's for sure. So, I think Kemba it's very hard at his price to roster him. And then, you have to determine how much money you have left. If you don't use Kawhi and go down to maybe George, then maybe you can go up from Jaylen Brown to Tatum. I agree with you. I think Tatum is the better player. He is their number one closer. But I also agree that Brown has made huge strides and is now the second banana compared to Kemba or anybody else. So, I'm half tempted to try to put both of them in there, but then you're back to, you're really, scraping the bottom of the barrel in that Denver Clippers game. So yeah, I think that's the main decision. I'll make it and have it in Discord, and it changes the build. So my pivotal guys are going to be, Kawhi to George, George to Kawhi, Tatum to Brown, Brown to Tatum, and then it'll fill in with the rest of the folks. But I feel good about it. I really like this slate. I really like the fact that, we've got a pretty good feel for the rotations, what the coaches are going to do, and, what the pace of play of be. And even though, the pace of play in the Clippers game is going to be faster and the over-under is 11.5 higher, you get less usage from the players on the floor in that game and more of a bench, to the point of really making these games completely even as far as rostering. And I'm going to force myself, like I said, to try to go, 5-4, and maybe 6-3 at the very worst. But I'm going to try to do that a little bit and stay within reason, because I do, again, think you need exposure to both.
Yeah, just want to follow up. That was a great point with Toronto that you started out with. If Ibaka's a little bit healthier, then maybe he gets more run to try to limit Tice. Maybe Powell doesn't get quite as much run. And that'll be a tough decision, because Ibaka is priced the same as OG on FanDuel, and OG's getting way more minutes. And so, will Ibaka get a little bit more run? Certainly he can be a much more dominant offensive force and defensive with the blocks. I mean, OG's been really steady, getting close to double-double with the rebounds. But yeah, you're right. If Ibaka gets more run, then he could be a little bit underowned and be a difference maker.
I think he's going to be a lot underowned. I think you're going to see people panic and say, okay, Nurse is going to go small. Ibaka didn't get in the fourth quarter or either overtime. So I think people are going to completely overreact to that. I'm hoping it's the backstory that his ankle was sore, although I hope it's not that it was that sore, that it's still sore in this game. So you're walking a fine line of trying to predict that. But I'm going to look for that big edge of getting Ibaka in 100% of my lineups at half his ownership of, I think, where it should be. And I think that could be a difference maker. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else in this game?
That's it. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And hopefully that gives you a good foundation to build on. So definitely, appreciate everybody listening in. Great time in sports right now, a lot going on. We'd love to have you join the Coach Talk family. I'll tell you what, last night was the best night we've had in Discord ever. I mean, everybody was contributing. Everybody was reporting on player news and weather situations in baseball, supporting each other. It's so much fun when DFS is tough, man. You're one person trying to make a lineup in some contests against hundreds of thousands of people. But when you have, other people you can chirp with and build with and bounce stuff, it really helps. So we'd love to have you. We really have a family atmosphere here at DFS Coach Talk. And, we'll be launching, keep an eye on social media. BetUS is going to be launching a huge campaign, talking about the partnership that they have now with DFS Coach Talk. And for some reason, I'll apologize for it now, my picture is going to be on this thing, flexing a muscle of all things. That's what they wanted to use. Right. It's sort of funny, but it'll be on there. You'll see it all over social media, so you can get a little chuckle, because where I'm pointing used to be guns. They're not there now, but they used to be. So anyway, keep an eye out for that, and please retweet it, shoot it out there, share it. We certainly really appreciate that. So Mambon3.org is our charity of choice, MAMBAONTHREE.org. It is the best of all. And one more tip of the hat to our all of our reserves, our Army people, our people that have served. 9/11 is a day to me, just like Memorial Day or anything else, when, a lot of people stepped up, volunteered, went out there. You think of even the sports world, the Pat Tillmans and everybody that made the ultimate sacrifice. So, we live in a wonderful world, a free country, and, it's because of those people that are our brave folks out there. So that is it, my man. I think we're ready for an awesome basketball night. Again, we're going to have baseball. We got some golf on today. And then I know the guys are getting geared up for a huge football Sunday for sure. I know I'm fired up about the Cowboys. I'm allowed to say I'm a Cowboys fan on here. I don't roster Cowboys just because they're Cowboys, but
are you sure?
I enjoy the Cowboys, and man, did I get a lot of heat from saying I was a Cowboys fan. I can't believe how many people hate the Cowboys. It's hilarious. So,
right.
Yeah, I'll be tooting their horn once in a while, and when they win, I may throw a "How about them Cowboys" at you. But we'll see how that goes.
Right.
I hope we just didn't lose like 10%, 15% of our listeners. Like,
right.
Screw that! I don't like the Cowboys. All right, man. Any final words?
Yeah, good stuff. Let's have a great, fun Friday night.
Let's do it, and let's crush it. Take some stuff down, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Mash those like buttons, and we'll be here tomorrow like we are every day. So, thanks again for tuning in. For our entire DFS Coach Talk team, for my partner in crime here, Andrew Hansen, I am Coach. We will look to see you tomorrow when we crush it in DFS.